Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon again, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We are going back to that horrible world known as the JRC, but before we do the usual disclaimers, we are going to be cutting this one here very obviously in half because this is VTO time and I do still have some exercising I need to do before I get back onto the clock, all right? All right, folks, if you are unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, you're going to find all the pertinent links right there in the description box. Please, in particular, take note of the article written by NeuroClastic, a small non for profit started by autistics for autistics. In it, they interviewed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center's so called behavior modification program. The Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read that article so much. They threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic refused, so you know the drill, folks. Please read that article. Share it on all your social media. Also included in there is NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding just in case the JRC sees through with that threat. All right, folks, trigger warning one when we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center and Agape Boarding School for Boys. You're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips or surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please make sure to go ahead and utilize the headphones, all right? Number two, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity on occasion and speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously parental supervision is advised. So, where we left off. In addition to being part of a diagnosis of PTSD, the PTSD symptoms for which we have evidence are also harms on their own. In other words, those kids, like Jennifer Masumba, who provided those records for the FDA's perusal. Gotta love receipts. For example, the FDA has evidence that recipients of the ESD shocks have experienced nightmares, flashbacks, avoidance, startle, hypervigilance, and re experiencing symptoms. And even the JRC training manual indicates the following symptoms of PTSD should be monitored for: nightmares, flashbacks, avoidance, startle, and hypervigilance. They put that in there, folks, to cover their own ass. Now, all the things that we've heard these people, the Kool Aid drinkers, say, has any of them at any point mentioned, oh, but you can't sit there and argue that? We have somebody there who's a professional when they experience these things, because it's a lie. They've never said that because they don't care. Just, just saying. One patient reported nightmares, flashbacks, and re experiencing symptoms as a result of the ESD administration. The panel discussed that various symptoms of PTSD, including nightmares, flashbacks, and emotional distress and intrusive thoughts, were found in individuals who have been subject to ESD shocks, although no systemic psychiatric assessment using the DSM criteria was conducted for PTSD. Of course, it wasn't, because we're dealing with the Judge Rotenberg Center. These are the same level of doctors of whatever quack AH dragged into that courtroom, who said, of course she has PTSD. No, I didn't use the DSM 5. I'm not over it. All right? I am not over it. I will never be over someone who's supposed to be a professional in the field saying that they gave a diagnosis based off a questionnaire without using any of the diagnostic criteria very clearly lined out in the DSM 5. Okay? I will never be over that, like, ever. I'm gonna have Alzheimer's someday. I'm gonna be in a nursing home, and it's just gonna fly out of my mouth randomly out of nowhere. I know it. But anyways, sorry, I kind of went off there. fact of the matter is that JRC does not care enough that when they start seeing this symptomology appearing, they do not take these kids to a doctor outside of their system who specializes in PTSD, or a specifically trained clinician whose job is to diagnose. They're not taking these kids to these individuals so they can be assessed properly by the means of using the DSM 5. Okay? These kids haven't even had a full functional assessment done. Nothing has been done the way it should have been done, starting from the very beginning at get go after that diagnosis is first made with these kids. We've seen the same story over and over and over again. Okay? So these kids who went to the professionals later to get properly diagnosed were brave enough to waive HIPAA rights so that FDA could take a look at those records. Okay? And like any rational person, it was extremely clear what this was all showing. All right? It's black and white here. And I do love the fact that they decided to throw a little shade at the JRC. It's subtle, classy, even. The whole, there was no systemic psychiatric assessment using the DSM criteria that is conducted for PTSD while they're in this school. No, because this school believes in pseudoscience insanity where literally nothing is being done by the book. Literally, absolutely nothing. Before we close out, I'm going to tell you what by the book actually looks like. It goes a little something like this. So, a teacher, or several teachers in my case, start to notice things. The signs that many of these teachers have been shown through multiple conferences to keep their eyes out for in regards to ADHD, autism, you name it. Speaking of mandated reporters, every single teacher on planet Earth is one. Just saying. All right, so they're looking out from the symptomology. The teacher then goes to the parent. The teacher is not paid to know everything about what's going on. But the teacher informs the parent of their suspicions and recommends and refers them to professionals for the child to be properly diagnosed. Everything's done. Kids properly diagnosed. What do we do next? We got to start building the treatment program, right? So what do the teachers do? They refer you to the proper professionals to get a full functional assessment done. If the assessment is not done in most states that run off of rational logic, there's no services. Because nobody in the service world that is worth their salt is a great fan of just like throwing things at the wall until something sticks methodology, okay? So they do the full functional behavioral assessment. You build that circle of support. You come together and with the person, not for, but with the individual, the student in question, using that full functional behavioral assessment result as a baseline and a guide. You get to build a treatment program and plan from there. That, folks, that's by the book. It starts by the teachers noticing, going to the parents. Parents do research. They take you to someone not that dissimilar to Dr. Curry. These are clinicians, folks. These are folks whose jobs involves diagnoses. Okay? These are the individuals that people like myself get sent to, get assessed, get diagnosed. Then the reference to the full functional behavioral assessment, the building of the teachers, and the community supports, as well as parental support and what have you. You see where I'm going here, right? It is an entirely different picture for what we know things look like for these kids. These kids come in with a diagnosis alone. The parents are absolutely clueless and given no information on how things are actually supposed to be done. And I don't know what places the teachers of Massachusetts have been going to in regards to noticing symptoms of a disability, but mother of God. We're going to close out on that, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few we do tend to get removed from time to time. So, folks, you know that drill. Please read the article. Hit the like button. Oh my God. Please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I am not here today to send help. As always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Pray for me, folks. Tiffany can't brain today.